But anyway, hope your weekend went well. I had a really nice weekend, except for catching this nasty head cold. So yeah, I went and saw a movie Friday night called Here. It's got Tom Hanks, and it's very artsy in a lot of ways. Wasn't bad. By the end of it, I liked it. It made me like it. But it's called Here because it's all about here. They put one camera up, and that you see that same camera for the whole movie. It never switches to another camera shot. It never is a moving camera. There's just a camera right here, and it shows this area right here, like it's a living room, and you can see this house across the street. And it goes back in time, and you'll see dinosaurs walking across here, and you'll see Native American Indians here, and before the house was ever built, you'll just see this driveway to this old colonial house that built back in the 1800s. And later on, the house is there, and you see that same colonial house through the window, and you'll see streets and different eras of cars back in the 20s or the 80s and up to 2020 even. And so the whole thing's just right here. That's the name of it. You're looking at right here. So it wasn't bad, just very different. You got to get used to the artsiness of just looking right here. Never changing your view, never turning to look at this person. No zoom in close ups of people. The only time you see a close up of them is when they just come walking past the camera. So when that person walks past the camera, you get a close up. But very, very different. It was a director's choice. He was probably trying to make something very artsy to get the Oscar peoples to notice or something. It's directed by Roger Zemeckis, who did Forrest Gump and a whole ton of other movies that everyone's very familiar about. But yeah, it's got Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. So a lot of big names in it, though. It was very different. So, all right, I guess we're going to get started. So let's take a look at what cybersecurity holds for us this week. I think we're looking at firewalls this week. We did access control last week. Let's go to our grade screen as usual. So, yes, last week was access control 3.01. Now we're at 3.02. This will pretty much take us through right up to Christmas here. Firewalls 3.02 is this week's lesson. So let's go take a look at firewalls. That's a term we're more familiar with. Firewalls are considered the first line of defense for most internet connections, right? A network security professional spends a good bit of day implementing, configuring, and troubleshooting firewalls. That's just, to not let people in. The main purpose of a firewall is to block network intrusion and denial of service attacks. There's the main purpose. Like a wall that separates two rooms, a firewall separates an internal network from incoming external traffic like the internet. A firewall is a piece of hardware or software, could be hardware, could be software, used to inspect network traffic and either allow that traffic or block that traffic. So there's many types of firewalls, and there's ways to implement them. For example, there's a network firewall, which protects the whole network. And that differs from a host firewall, which is just set up in your own computer to just prevent people from being able to access your computer. So you can have individual firewalls or network firewalls. It's an effective as a barrier to protect against external threats. However, firewalls cannot prevent internal threats. Like if you have a network firewall, that doesn't stop someone that's inside your network already from creating problems. So it can't prevent internal threats, virus attacks, or phishing, because phishing is where they send these fake emails and then people click on it, that whole type of thing. So like an intruder who breaks into your home, once the threat's inside the organization, then the firewall is no longer effective. So the firewall can keep people from accessing your network, but people inside could also create problems. Organizations must implement other controls to avoid these threats. So attacks on the internet like viruses, trojans, spyware, ransomware, denial of service, malware can be thwarted by using antivirus and other prevention and detection systems alongside firewalls. The best protection is a multi-pronged approach, as we've said many times. Did you know most companies cannot detect a data breach right away? Some take nearly 6 months to notice or detect even a major attack sometimes. Equifax, Capital One, and Facebook are some high-profile examples. They've had breaches that didn't even know it for months and months. Information like passwords, credit card data, social security numbers may already be compromised by the time the customer is notified. Because if they don't find out about it for months and then they finally notify all their customers, hey, we detected that we had a data breach, that person may have already had your information for months, and you may already know you've had a data breach because someone's using your credit card. With evolving technology comes evolving hackers, unfortunately. A cybersecurity professional got to stay informed and learn from useful cybersecurity statistics and facts. So you got to study breaches if you're going to be a good cybersecurity professional. Figure out how they got in somewhere so you can make sure they can't get in your network the same way. Types of firewalls. Let's check out some different types and see how they're implemented. So there's the OSI model. It can be used to understand how firewalls process traffic. So each type of firewall functions differently. So, here's a video on the OSI model.
Let's talk about layers. For pizza, it's the crust, the sauce, the toppings, layered together in a perfect package. IT professionals use layers when referring to the Open Systems Interconnection, or OSI model. This model visualizes a networking system in 7 layers. Think of the layers like the steps you take when ordering a pizza. In this case, pizza equals data. Layer 7 is application. This is where a customer picks up the phone to place an order. In OSI, it's what the user sees and interacts with. Next is the presentation layer. The order is translated into something a chef understands. A large pizza with sausage and olives may be translated into special number 6 on your check. Then the order is confirmed. This layer, session, is all about two-way communication. Without someone taking the order, your pizza dreams would end here. Layer 4 is called transport, but it's all about quality control. In this step, your pizza is checked for accuracy and quality before it leaves the kitchen. In the network layer, data, or in this case, pizza, is delivered using the best route. Layer 2, data link, provides a physical address for delivery. Like pizza, data needs a specific location, otherwise it could end up lost. Finally, in Layer 1, the physical delivery happens. Unlike ordering pizza, OSI works both ways. Data can travel from Layer 7 to 1 and back again. So, what's the point of OSI? If your pizza isn't right, the manager will follow the steps in your order to see where it went wrong. OSI is like those steps. It provides a point of reference that lets network managers and programmers troubleshoot. Your job is to get familiar with the layers, learn what they mean, and how they connect.
All right, so the more layers a firewall can cover, the more thorough and effective it can be. Right, a firewall that operates at only layer 3 or 4 can only filter on IP protocol information, IP addresses, TCP or UDP port numbers. It can't filter on application information like user authentication. So therefore, the more layers a firewall can process from, the more comprehensive it can be in the filtering process. So you see the OSI model over there, which you can click and it'll pop it out as a pop-up that you can print out if you want the names of the layers. All right, packet filtering, different type of firewall. Oh, wait a minute. Does this have more information? No. There's something on this one. Packet filtering firewalls. So these are considered one of the earliest types of a firewall. All firewalls are designed to perform this basic function. A packet filtering firewall is configured by specifying an access control list, which we looked at last week, ACL. Each rule defines a specific type of data packet and the appropriate action to take when a packet matches the rule. An action can be either to deny or to accept and allow the packet to pass through the firewall. So a packet filtering firewall is considered stateless. Let's see what stateless is defined as. It's a type of firewall that does not preserve information about the connection between the hosts, often used to describe packet filtering firewalls. Because the firewall examines each packet independently and doesn't keep a record of previous packets. It just looks at it. Can you go through? Great. But it doesn't keep a track of who it let through and who it didn't, what it let through. So the disadvantages is stateless firewalls can introduce problems in traffic flow due to blocking traffic that shouldn't be blocked. It can make mistakes. They can also be complex to configure. They can fail to prevent application layer attacks, and they do not support user authentication connections. All right, let's look at a circuit level firewall. Circuit level stateful firewalls. Circuit level firewalls are designed to track all connections. See, this, as opposed to the last one we looked at was stateless. This one's stateful. It tracks all the connections and allows return traffic to enter the network. So, and every session is recorded in a state table so that it knows exactly who has been accessing everything. This data is used to check incoming traffic against its state table and block any traffic that doesn't match. These are considered stateful firewalls because they make decisions based on the contents of the network traffic as they relate to the state of the connection. A firewall that monitors the full state of active network connections. This type of firewall does not filter individual packets, so active content cannot be scanned. Finally, application level firewalls. This is also known as a proxy firewall. It's an application level firewall that can inspect the contents of the packets at the application layer. For example, a web application firewall, or WAF, is designed to protect the HTTP and HTTPS applications. It might analyze the HTML code that's sent in the packets to identify code that matches a pattern in the database. But this type of firewall cannot examine encrypted data packets. So there's downfalls to all of them, and that's why you have to have a multi-layer approach to cybersecurity. What do they all have in common, however? Answer: they're all designed to perform basic packet filtering. Just the very basic. Like this one can't do the encrypted, but it can look at the basic packet filtering. Page 3. Next generation. So next generation firewalls, or NGFWs, are like basic packet filtering firewalls, but they can also perform full packet inspection on encrypted traffic. So additionally, they can apply application-specific and user-specific security policies. So the next generation firewalls protect against threats. They manage how network bandwidth is allocated. It maintains appropriate access controls. Some of these may also prevent malware from getting in the network because they're making better firewalls these days. NGFWs are regular network firewalls that can inspect at the application layer and can perform SSL traffic inspection, intrusion detection, and other prevention techniques. They can also be deployed at the perimeter, inside the network as main firewalls to segment traffic, and within a host to protect virtual workloads. So it can be in multiple levels, individual computers, all the way out to the perimeter of the network. Network security firewalls, no matter how advanced, won't stop everything. No, they generally don't stop or detect threats that have entered a network via social engineering or insider threats, email, or the bring your own device, which is a problem. So here's a knowledge check. Check your knowledge of firewalls. Circuit level stateful protects by designed to track all connections and records each session in the state table. That was a stateful thing. It's going to record everything. Packet filtering protects by one of the earliest types. It's considered stateless. It does not keep track of everything it lets through. It just checks and either lets it through or not, but it doesn't keep a record of who it let through and who it didn't. Application level, also known as a proxy firewall. This firewall can inspect the contents of packets at the application layer. And then the next generation can perform full packet inspection on encrypted traffic. So there's some different looks of firewalls. All right, firewall configuration. A firewall is an example of a rule-based management. That's an administrative technique that relies on the principle of least privilege and implicit deny to restrict access to resources. So firewall and other filtering rules are configured on the principle of least access, which means only the minimum amount of traffic required for the operation of valid network services is allowed. It doesn't just let anyone in. It's like, is this necessary? Yes, we'll let that one through. Is this necessary? No, not really. So you can't come in. Even simple firewalls can be complicated to configure securely. For this reason, cybersecurity professionals should create a written policy describing what a filter rule set should do. That's a set of one or more individual network control rules that have been saved and can be redeployed on multiple applications. And they should test the configuration as far as possible to ensure that the ACLs work as they should. All right, so here's some basic configuration principles. Update firewall to the latest firmware. Always update, because that means they found something that didn't work on, and so they fixed it to where it'll catch that problem. Identify traffic permitted using firewall ACLs. Delete, disable, or rename any default user accounts and change all the default passwords. Don't let people keep the default password, 1234, or password, or whatever the default is. Secure the hardware that the firewall runs on and use the management interface. Make sure that's in a locked facility, a locked air-conditioned room. It's interesting, if you go in these companies that have these server rooms, you'll go in there and it'll be about 60 degrees because computers get hot and they make your computers last longer. Those rooms are usually freezing. If multiple administrators will manage a firewall, create additional administrator accounts with limited privileges based on responsibilities. They may need an admin account, but do they need to get into everything? Maybe or maybe not, depending on what their role is. What are they administering? Just limit their privileges, just the areas they need to control. And never share user accounts. Don't use shared accounts where all admin logs in with the same thing. If you have a bad actor in there, someone that's going to screw up with your system, you won't know who it is if they're sharing an account. So everyone should have their own so you can track to see if you have someone that's doing bad things. Use penetration testing to confirm the configuration is secure. Log access attempts and monitor the logs for suspicious activity. Hey, we got someone trying to break into our system here. They keep coming from the same IP address. We need to see what's going on with that. And troubleshooting a misconfigured firewall. A poorly configured firewall will not function correctly, likely, right? This is easy to identify because users will report incidents related to failure of data traffic. Like I keep trying to log in here and it says it's not valid, but I should have access. Diagnosis can be confirmed by attempting to establish a connection from both inside and outside the firewall. Successful connection from the outside the firewall, I hope they got two eyes in there, but not from the inside, will confirm that the firewall is the cause. Like, outside the firewall I can access it, but inside it's blocking me. The firewall's log could also be used to find out what rules have been applied to block traffic at a particular time. When did this error start? Some rule was added at 6 o'clock this morning, and ever since then, people can't log in. All right, let's look at page 5. Knowledge check. Read the question, select the best answer. What is the main purpose of a firewall? Prevent users from falling for phishing attacks. Oh, if only a firewall could do that. If people are going to click on those fake email links, you can't stop that. Prevent malware from installing. Maybe some of the next generation ones, but mainly it's to block network intrusion and denial of service attacks. Right, that's the main purpose. Question 2. What are all firewalls designed to do? Prevent virus attacks, speed up network traffic, or perform packet inspections. Right. Boy, if only it could speed up network traffic. No, it's to perform packet inspections. Right. Question 3. What is a disadvantage of application level firewalls? It can't examine encrypted packets. They introduce problems in traffic flow due to blocking traffic, or they can be complex to configure. Now, remember, that was the one that said if it's encrypted, it can't inspect those. What does the principle of least access mean? It means only a company's manager can authorize access to the system or network. Got to be a manager. Our users must go through at least 1 month of security training before you can log in. Or only the minimum amount of traffic required for the operation of valid network services allowed. Yes, that one. You don't give them access to everything, just stuff they need to be able to get in and do their job. All right, that's it, guys. Let's look at our assignment. What's the primary purpose of a firewall? Why should antivirus be used in addition to a firewall? Which type of firewall was the first one ever invented? Now, again, remember, these are random questions. You may have different questions, but looks like 5 questions. 5 questions. All right, that's it. Firewall, something a little more common to our vocabulary. We've heard of firewalls a lot. A lot of this cyber stuff is kind of new on how to protect networks, but this is one most people have heard of a firewall. So we learned a little bit more about those today. So, all right, everyone's doing great. Make sure if you got any missing assignments, go back and get those caught up. But most of the guys are right on top of it. So we're in November now, so we're going to be done with the semester before we know it. So, if you got any questions or problems, this is a B day, so we only have class on Wednesday. But we'll see you next time, guys. Have a great week.